Alright, this is the 2011 Optima Hybrid. I'm installing a Fusion 10-inch bass, subwoofer I mean. There it is. And right now I'm in the process of running the remote to the amp and the RCA cables from the trunk, which is where I'm going to mount the, here it is. That's where I'm going to mount the amp and the sub, obviously. So the way I've chosen to run the wires from the trunk to the front is through that hole right there. I went pretty deep into the car. If you go to KiaTechInfo.com, there's really good write-ups on how to remove the seats. I removed the front, the cushion, and then the back seat so I could have access to this space right here. There is like a little grommet back in this corner, but I decided to go the easy route and go this way. So I'm going to run it through the kick plates all the way to the front. So far that's what I've done, and we'll see how it goes. Alright, this is the fuse that I'm going to install in the fuse box. I'm going to remove the 15 amp fuse that controls the cigarette lighter, and this is what's going to turn on my amp. This is what's going to give it the remote signal to turn on when the car is on. As you can see, the Optima comes with these low profile fuses, but you can use these. So I'm going to remove the 15 amp from the car and then install these two 15 amps mini fuses on my fuse, which it's right there. So these two slots will have two 15 amps, one that came originally from the cigarette lighter, and then the other one's going to be for the actual control wire, remote wire. Alright, here's the fuse that controls the cigarette lighter on the Kia. There we go. And as you can see, it's one of the mini fuses. My fuse is much longer, but it'll work. It'll fit in there. Let's see. Let's install. Kind of hard to do everything with one hand, but I'm going to install it anyway. Facing up. It just plugs in, and there it is, right there. And then the red wire will connect to my, I keep dropping things, to my blue wire, which is what will turn on the amp when I turn the ignition on. Simple as that. I just got to crimp it, that's all. Alright, this is the connection to the back of my head unit. I'm keeping the stock head unit, which is the Uvu head unit. And I decided to go with this fairly inexpensive line output converter. And here's the wiring. It's kind of hard to see. It will be hard to see, but again, if you go to Kia Tech Info and download your radio wiring diagram or pinouts, you'll be able to figure out what goes where. It's very easy. Then it's just a matter of getting to the plug and wiring everything. You do have to take a fair amount of the panel off to get to it, including this side over here and this as well. You don't have to obviously disconnect everything. You can move it forward enough to be able to pull the radio far forward enough to get to the wires. It does work. I've tried it out. I need to calibrate the amp, and that should be it. I'm about to solder all the wires here. I just finished soldering all my connections. Most line output converters come with a ground. You don't need to ground this particular one on this particular vehicle. So just a heads up. Okay, one thing I didn't mention is my amp came with a remote, which is this guy right here. I mounted it really low. I didn't want to drill into the plastic, so I zip tied it to a plastic. That's where the heat comes out, right there, that vent. And that will allow me, obviously, to increase or decrease the bass. And it runs along the same path as the RCA and remote to turn the amp on. And right back here, there's those 3 wires. The black wire on top is the remote that you saw, that dial to control the bass. The 2 gray wires are my RCAs, and the blue is obviously the remote to turn the amp on when I turn on the ignition. Since this is a hybrid, the trunk, they mounted the battery in the trunk of the car, which makes it very convenient to run power to my amp and ground. As you can see, if you follow the red wire, it goes right into the positive lead of the battery, and right there is the amp's fuse, and obviously the ground. I grounded it in the same spot as the battery's ground, which is right there. And that's it. I am done. It sounds good, especially after you calibrate it. Definitely an improvement over the stock speakers, which sound like ass because it has absolutely no bass. And well, there's the unit. I'd run it, but there's no point in running it because listening to this video on a little computer speakers, you're not going to get any effect. So that's it. Thanks for looking. Any questions, feel free to comment or contact me.